Alright everybody, hello and welcome to the second challenge from OwlyForest. Yeah, if you haven't seen the first challenge, that was in Mega Man X2 with the 1 HP mod. We had to finish the whole game entirely with only a single HP to spare. And it was a very, very tough challenge, but in the end we made it. And now we have the second challenge from OwlyForest, which is in the first game, Mega Man X. And in this challenge, I think there are only two major things to look out for. First off, we have to start with Sting Chameleon first. So the first Maverick stage has to be Sting Chameleon. Afterwards, we can go to any stage that we want to. And the second thing to look out for is that we are only allowed to use the X-Buster. So yes, we defeat the Mavericks, but we are never allowed to use a single special weapon. That's about it. So everything else is actually allowed. That means we can collect the armor parts, just like in X2. But we are also allowed this time to collect sub-tanks and hard tanks. I mean, in the first challenge in X2, hard tanks and sub-tanks were useless because a single hit and you die, so yeah. But in this challenge, we can collect as much hearts and as much sub-tanks as we can. And yeah, I am intrigued to play this, though I am pretty sure. Okay, first off, I will do it like in X2. So you have my controller overlay and you have the live split. This time I did not forget a Maverick. I checked. Yeah, and I will partially comment again, like in X2. But to be honest, I don't really have much to say in this challenge because it is pretty simple. In X2 it wasn't simple because we had to do a lot of thinking where to go next and how to use the special weapons and the RNG and whatever. But here everything is basically clear, so I don't think I will comment too much, maybe even never. So maybe now and when I actually finish the run, but that depends. Maybe something will get in my head and then I will comment. But just so you know, I might just not comment at all. Okay. Again, as in X2, my game stops when I start the live split timer. So I have to start the game, press over to my live split to start the run, and then press back to my game so I can even play. So wait. First, let me just put on my headphones so I can hear the game. Like this, okay. And now I will start the game and then the live split, and that's about it. So I hope you enjoy, and yeah, enjoy the show. That was a pretty clean chameleon fight, actually. He spawned a lot on the same tile, so that was pretty good. Pretty good. And not to forget my life split. Alright. Now we can go back to the original roots and start with Chill Penguin, so we get the dash boots. Wow, very unnecessarily close. I actually almost died here. Yeah, he does a lot of damage, but all went well. This whole stage is basically a mash fest. Like, when you start the stage, just get ready to mash the shoot button. But it worked out very well. And now we actually go back to Chameleon. We don't have to, but we should, because Chameleon actually has the armor parts for less damage, so we definitely need that. And now for my nemesis and dashless, chargeless low percent. I love him. And he has my favorite Maverick music stage for sure. And now I accidentally died because I double pressed the input. Nice. Very unfortunate death here. Because this has actually been deathless so far, but that death really was unnecessary. And unwanted, because I didn't intend to dash there. Well, what can you do? Alright, after 35 minutes we have beaten all 8 stages. Pretty nice, pretty nice. And now we go into Sigma's Fortress with the most interesting boss as our very first. And that being Bospider. I'm interested how that one will go. That was a very awesome wild fight actually. I really like that one. No damage Bospider. Very nice. That's what I want to see. So far it's going very well. I really like this run. And that's why you normally kill the nose first. Because if you kill the... That's why you don't kill the nose first. Because if you do kill the nose first, then... yeah, the walls stay like that. And then you have to kill the eyes in a very ugly way. So always kill one eye first. Okay, my health for D-Rex is a bit scary, but we will see if I can manage. I have to say, I really like this boss. I don't know what it is, but D-Rex is such an epic boss battle. I just love it. Like, you actually get scared. Even if you have all the tools to your disposal, like, you just get scared still. That's why I love D-Rex. Alright, final Sigma time. And with that, we finally made it. 1 hour flat and 43 seconds. I can't even speak anymore. I'm so flabbergasted by what type of run this was. You know, without the silly death in Boomer Kuwanger, like, this run only had a single death, and that was because I accidentally dashed, and there had to be spikes. And if that death wouldn't have happened, this could have been like just below 1 hour, just sub-hour, like in the nick of time, basically. Without that silly death, this would have been either below 1 hour or exactly perfectly 1 hour. Because I think I have lost around 40 seconds because of that death, so I don't know. If that death wouldn't have happened, this could have been like sub 1 hour barely, or 1 hour flat and deathless. That would have been epic. But hey, I'm really not complaining here. This is just nitpicking at this point. I am very glad that this run happened the way it happened. I am very glad with every single boss fight. There was no real threat. Of course, Bospider always like gives you the creeps, but yeah, it was it even dashless? I don't know. It's you might have noticed in some boss battles I just didn't dash at all, like Armored Armadillo at the very start where I nearly died. I didn't dash at first because I am just so used to play this game dashless, chargeless. I mean, in this run, of course, I charged a lot because I want them to die, but I am so used to dashless at this point that I just sometimes my brain is not registering to dash. But in the stages, I dashed wherever I could, basically. I don't know why it just turns off in boss fights for some stupid reason. Anyway, every single boss fight was perfect. In quotation marks, of course, because perfect would be flawless, but perfect in a sense of I am just satisfied with how they went. D-Rex was okay, even if it was scary. Rangda was okay. Bospider okay. The 8 Mavericks all okay. The Velguarder boss, the dog, I could have played better. It was a bit bad. And I really messed up in the Jedi Sigma fight. Yeah. I really, really messed up. I got hurt a lot. And because I'm silly, I didn't even go to the pause menu and just refill my health. I don't know, it's just this thing I have, you know. Oh wait, I have to click back on the game so I can move on in the game. I have been like this in every Mega Man because... Oh, why is the emulator glitching? I can see X standing here. Do you see my mouse? I hope you do. I see X here. I see Wolf Sigma here in the back, flashing rapidly. Why is this like this? I am playing on the Snes9x Emulator, and I have done this playthrough in a test stream before, and when I finished it, this wasn't there. But I see a lot of flickering, and I see the final screen of the arena. I see X standing here and Wolf Sigma here for some, I don't know, reason. I hope this is not invalidating my run, because I have not used any cheats whatsoever. So yeah, I hope this is okay. I don't know what this is. I'm just seeing this myself for the first time. Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying before? Yeah, I got hurt a lot in the Jedi Sigma fight, and when I play Mega Man, no matter what game, like if it's the classic series or the X series, I never use E-tanks or sub-tanks. I don't know, I just can't stand using them. You know, I want to flawlessly beat a boss with no damage, lemons only, whatever. So when I have low health, that just makes me be even more focused not to die. But if I would have used sub-tanks, then I get careless again because I know, oh, I can get hurt again. So I just refrain myself from using E-tanks in the classic series or sub-tanks in the X series for that reason. But here in this run, if I had died to Jedi Sigma, because I am just silly and not using the sub-tank, then yeah, I would have regretted it a lot. But I'm glad I managed to beat him before dying. And then the second the final phase started with Wolf Sigma, I immediately paused and immediately gave myself a sub-tank, because that fight is scary. And I think I only used another one afterwards. But I was also, again, very, very silly in the Wolf Sigma fight, because I was standing up there on the platform, and I think I had like 5 HP. So one hit and I would have been dead, and I still refrained to go into the pause menu and give myself a sub-tank. I don't know why I have this. I mean, I explained why, but this is a very important run, and we don't want this run to go on unnecessarily. So just use the sub-tank. My god. But I don't know, I just refrained myself again. But before I killed him, when he had like 4 HP left, I said, okay, you know what, just pause, give yourself the sub-tank, you have no idea what's gonna happen, you will die and you will regret, so just pause, give yourself the sub-tank and just finish this run. And that's what I did. And I'm glad, because this has been so much less stressful than the X2 run. I mean, how many deaths do we have here? One single death in the entire challenge, and that was unwanted, because I accidentally dashed, and right where I dashed there had to have been, like, there had to be spikes, which is very, yeah, unfortunate. But compare this to the X2 challenge, where I died 45 times and the runtime was double of this. I remember the runtime in X2 was barely above 2 hours, and this run in X1 is barely above 1 hour. What a fitting outcome. It's perfect. I don't want to do an X3 challenge that goes on for 3 hours, please. But who knows? Maybe OwlyForest comes up with another challenge, and this time for X3. It would only make sense, to be honest. I'm not sure if he might do more, and if he does, I'm interested in what kind of challenges those will be. I am not very good in X3. Actually, like, my best X games are X2, X, and X4. X3, I really like the game, but I'm just not good at it. Like, not at all. I can't play the game for some reason. I'm just generally bad in X3. X2 is my favorite. X is a good game, and X4 is a very nice game as well. I really love X4. Yeah, but that's it. Do I have anything else to say? Okay, the flickering is gone. I don't see X anymore. I don't see Wolf Sigma anymore. But in the credits, where X was on the highway stage, I could still see them in the back flickering. Again, I have no idea why that is. I have never seen this before. In my test stream, it is on YouTube if you want to see that. There, it is not visible. There is X, and there wasn't anything visible, I mean, in the background. So yeah, I don't know what that is. Also, if you notice, this is the Japanese ROM. Yeah, that's it. I am glad to have done this. I really had fun. I really enjoy these X challenges. I can't wait for more, to be honest. For my personal opinion, it can be a bit more difficult than this run, but please let it be less difficult than X2, because oh my god, that was a crazy challenge. If you didn't see the X2 challenge and you're watching this, feel free to watch the X2 challenge. That was a nightmare. But okay, I don't think I have anything else to say. While Sigma stares at us and staring into our soul, I am going to wrap this up. Thank you very much for watching this challenge run. I'm gonna submit this to OwlyForest. Personal special thanks to you as well when you're rewatching this. If there's any question, let me know. I will ask them. I will answer them, and that's about it. Yeah, and I'm very, very sure I will have more competition this time. Since last time I was the only one that has finished the X2 challenge, but to be honest, I was crazy to actually go through X2, and I think I only did it because X2 is my favorite game. Yeah, but for this challenge I am very sure I will have more competition, and it's good. I mean, of course you want competition, so yeah, let's see what happens. Anyway, this is it. Thank you very much again. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, wonderful evening, whenever you look at this. Leave a like if you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next challenge, if there will be one. That's it from me. See you next time, and bye bye.